Hello and welcome to episode 57 of Pacific Horseplayers right here on the HHH Racing Podcast. I am Noah Meagher alongside Jackson Muniz, and you're probably wondering, we're missing somebody. Unfortunately, Ryan will not be joining us tonight. He is out in Arizona doing a lot of drinking and socializing at the symposium that's going on out in Arizona this week. So lucky for him that he gets to do that, but unfortunate that he does not get to join us tonight, as we'll be going through the opening day late pick 5, Oaklawn Park. Meet opens up on Friday the 12th. Got some big fields. I know Matt Dinnerman, race caller, who we've had on the show before, has been posting a bunch of stuff, getting ready and geared up for that meet. They've got super big fields and some very competitive races, at least on opening weekend in terms of that. And we'll be diving into some of those shortly. Before we do that, you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. We've got our regular Power Picks tip sheet, of course, that you can sign up for. 2 cards, ABC grids, spot plays, you name it. I know last week, Howard, we were doing the live show Weekend Warriors and gave out Paladin, who he's got a future bet on as well, I believe at 40-1. So good for Howard. Looking forward to seeing how he and progresses. Yeah, I know we were talking about that on the show. I know he's quite interested in that. And then you can find out more about us at our website, hhhracingpodcast.com. And then we've got Weekend Warriors one more time. We're running it back on Saturday. I don't think you'll be able to join us, Jackson, but it'll be the same crew as last Saturday. Myself, Howard, and Matt Miller, who's already in the chat, and Lively. So looking forward to that, as we're going to be talking about that those synthetic championship races at Oaklawn Park. They got a big contest over at Twin Spires. And I know the Picks and Ponies boys on Thursday will be covering that. So go check out that show along with Betting and Boozing with Patrick, Kyle, and the new co-host over there, Andrew, who I haven't gotten a chance to talk to yet or do some work over there. So looking forward to hearing what they have to say about the Tropical Park Oaks and Derby out at Gulfstream. Jackson, I know I just saw you about, an hour and 10 minutes ago, but how's it been so far?
Since we last talked? Well, yeah. A lot has happened. I went downstairs, had a granola bar, looked at these races another time, and here we are. So ready to go. And I'm kind of excited for this Oaklawn meet. I think it's going to be pretty good. It sounds like a lot of big name trainers are focusing on it this year, as well as some bigger jockeys than usual. So it sounds like it's going to be pretty fun. A lot of big purses out there.
Yeah, we got, in terms of jockeys, just off the top of my head, Saez, Rosario, my boy Abel Cedillo is out there, old school Golden Gate and West Coast guy. I know just some of the more. What's up?
Evan Roman is my guy.
Yeah, you like everything. You love it than JJ, right?
He's way better than JJ.
Yeah, but no, it's going to be great. Obviously, they got some good stock out of Oaklawn, so looking forward to a great meet down in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Let's go ahead and get into the races in the late pick 5 on opening day Friday. Starts with this race right here. It is race 6, 2:53 Central Time, which is 3:53 my time, 12:53 Jackson's time. It's a 12.5 starter allowance. A mile and 8.
Howard's time.
Track. Howard's time is the same time, which is 2:53. No. We don't have anybody at Mountain Time, do we? Nobody would be 1:53, unless viewers out there are Mountain Time in Colorado or Montana or whatever. But anyway, this is a handicapping show, not a geography show. Mile and 8 on the main track. We do have numbers and morning lines in the program. Morning line favorite is the number 4 Mineable Night for Saez and Tom Amos at 5-2. Second choice is the 2 Keen Cat for Arietta and Randy Morse at 3-1. And our picks are now up on the screen. I'm going 2:12:11. Jackson's going 13:2:12. Right off the bat, he thinks he's the only co-host on the show. He can do whatever the hell he wants. He's going with an AE, of course. First card that we're talking about. He's got the 7-2 shot that's on the AE list. I think it's probably worth mentioning that we talk about him because, it's a big field of 12, and it's likely that we do get a scratch. But the number 13, Meagher, who I thought ran a big race at Churchill last time on the turf, excuse me, but he's on the dirt on Friday, Jackson.
Is that how you pronounce the name? I wasn't sure. I
think I kind of nailed that one. I mean, I've kind of fallen on the sword when it comes to talking about names. I think that was pretty spot on. I'm not going to lie.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, I'm not going to try to pronounce that. I'll leave that up to our boy, Matt Dinnerman, who's actually in the chat. So shout out Matt Dinnerman.
Oh, is he?
I know he's excited for opening day Friday. He'll take care of that as his horse is crossing the finish line in first place if he is able to run on Friday. So, when I look at this race, the more I looked at it seemed like it was going to be pretty formidable. I think there's probably 3 or 4 horses that can win, and the rest probably are going to have to take a big step up to be competitive in here. And there's not a lot of speed either. Outside of the 9 horse who's going to go, I don't think there's a lot of speed. So even though he does have the outside post, it's a long run of the first turn with a mile in the 8th start. And his last 2 races were really good. It's been a big step in the right direction. I think either of those last 2 would probably be good enough to win. Obviously, he got the giant number 2 back at Indy, but he backed it up last time at Churchill on Claiming Crown Day, where he set the pace. Those top 2 ran away from the rest of the field early. He put away his pace rival and just got run down late by Echo Lane. It was a very nice horse in his own right. So he's in razor sharp form, doesn't need to lead, proven over the dirt, proven over this racetrack. And I think pace scenario-wise, he's got things his own way. And I think being hung out there so wide, he's not going to be overbet either. So he seems like a very logical horse if he's able to draw in this field. Just a matter of getting that one scratch so he can run on Friday.
Well, this is the 9 furlongs. So if he's parked all the way out there, he's got a little more room to work with.
Right.
If he were to go, 8 or 8.5. So you should be able to get over. And if he's able to kind of sit off, and first of all, he's got to overcome the fact that somebody scratches. But if that is something that happens, then I think if you're playing this pick 5 sequence, he's probably a must on some of those tickets. The horse to his inside, I thought would probably show a little bit of speed. I've got him in second. You've got him in third. I just want to include him basically just because he hasn't had much of a shot at all in his last 2. I mean, he completely blew the start at Keeneland, had no chance there. And then he really didn't break all that well last time at Churchill. Now the worry is, maybe that's the point that he's getting to. Maybe he's not a little bit sharp as maybe he had shown in those races 3 or 4 back. But I feel like I just got to give him another chance after those last 2 efforts.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought his last race, I thought he should have run better last time. I thought even though he didn't break great, he found himself in a really good spot, swung out wide, top of stretch, and just didn't have a whole lot late. I do think this might be a little bit softer field, and he's out there in races that are good enough to win. He makes sense. I'm going to use him more in third than on the win end, but he's a contender for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I've got the 11 Metatron's Muse in third, who is another one where his last couple efforts just haven't been up to par, but those races 3, 4, and 5 back, I think he could probably get a piece of it. If there's a scenario where the 9 goes, the 12 goes, the 13 gets in and goes, maybe he could heat things up a little bit. He's one that I would maybe want from off the pace. The 7 was another one I looked at, who was Huge Bickley, who actually ended up beating him the last time that they faced each other. But I thought he's got a little more back class. I like the break. Obviously, something wasn't going quite right. So just bring him back down to Oaklawn, and hopefully he can get back to some of those races that he had shown previously. That's why I've got him in third. And then the horse that I've got on top, you've got on second. We'll talk about, or should we talk about the favorite first? Let's talk about that one.
We'll talk about them together.
Yeah. I wasn't sure I loved his 9 furlong races. Like I don't really envision him as a 9 furlong horse. And this is kind of a weird animal for me because I actually liked him quite a bit last time. I played him in the Twin Spires Claiming Crown contest. Nation ran completely off the screen, which I didn't really see coming, and I don't think I was really the only one. But I thought he got a pretty good trip in there. And the 2 Keen Cat, I thought, had some trouble. That was, they finished a length and a half apart. And considering he got a perfect trip and Keen Cat, I think probably prefers 9 more than he does and had trouble, I think I'm tending to lean the other way.
Yeah, I agree. I liked him a lot that day too. I thought he'd be better going the 1 turn, and I thought he got a great trip in there. And it felt like he kind of just clunked out for second. I don't think he ever really ran great in that race. Now he's got to go the 9 furlongs. I agree. He's probably better going a little shorter. at a short price I'd be trying to beat, but it won't surprise me if he wins.
Yeah, and this is the horse that we had been mentioning. I'd rather bet him just because he had shown some ability to be a little bit closer than he did last time, and he didn't really break all that great last time. It was maybe a little further than he wanted. I thought he legitimately got shut off down on the rail. I know we can't see that race at Churchill, but I'm sure you saw that and remember that because I think you might have been on that show during that, right? So
yeah.
I just think I'd rather go with him at a similar price because I think A, he'll like the 9 furlongs a little bit more. B, could be a little bit closer. And C, you might get a better price on him.
Yeah, I don't know much to add. He's for all those points you said, he's supposed to be better at 9 furlongs than Lion Overnight is. Yeah. He's supposed to be a similar, maybe even a little bit better price. And he had legit trouble last time. Not just the getting shut off at the start, but that was not a very fast pace for being such a large field and that kind of level. So I think he's the horse to beat in this spot.
Definitely. We've got actually Matt Dinnerman in the chat, and we'll bring up some of the chats that he's got because obviously he's got some great information for us. And I know he's looking forward to all that good stuff down at Hot Springs. He says Luis Saez would be a jockey that would be making a big impression. And Roman, your boy, he likes
you. See? Great minds think alike, Matt.
Love that. We'll go ahead and move on.
Matt, once you hear about when this new Oaklawn contest is coming out, you got to hit me up. I'm trying to find an excuse to go out to Oaklawn this year, and that contest might be a good reason to.
Well, I think now with the way the calendar shapes out, you've got the NHC in the middle of March, and then you've got 2 weekends after, and then the Bluegrass. So I kind of want to maybe check it out one of those 2 weekends. I don't know. I know you have a wedding.
Not my wedding, a wedding.
Yeah. Well, even if it was Jackson's wedding, I wouldn't be excited. So that's a different story for another time. We'll move on to race 7, which is a maiden special weight event. It is 6 furlongs for 2-year-old fillies, $100,000 purse. Morning line favorite is the number 7, Winning Matters, for Joel Rosario and Dallas Stewart at 5-2. Second choice all the way to the inside with the number 1, Eagle Dance for Saez and Cox at 3-1. And the third choice just to her outside, the 2 Cognizant for Rosado and Asmussen at 7-2. And our picks are up on the screen now. Jackson, I promise we are very different in the final 3 races. This one we're not. I'm going 11-7-1. You're going 7-11-1. Going with the favorite Winning Matters, who lost to Slay the Day last time. It would probably be about 1-5 or 1-9 in this race. So obviously, taking a short price in this race, I think is probably deserved.
Yeah, I just think she's way the horse to beat in here. And that was the day where you mentioned Slay the Day won. Slay the Day had run at Keeneland, showed a lot of speed, took money, and ran well, and then came back at Churchill and was like the most obvious horse ever. I mean, that horse just got hammered the whole time, broke on top, and ran that field off their feet. But I thought Winning Matters actually ran really well too, because she was very quick out of the gate as well. She was in second, and then she got passed by the Cox horse. Looked like she was going to kind of go nowhere. And then once they hit the top of the stretch, she switched leads, hit another gear, and was getting to Slay the Day late, and actually galloped that well in front of that field. I thought it was a very encouraging first race for this filly, especially for a runner from the Dallas Stewart barn, who horses usually get better with more experience. So drawn well here again. I would expect a lot of improvement from this filly, and I think it's going to take a big effort from one of these firsters to beat this horse.
Yeah, I would expect the extra half furlong would probably be a little bit better for her. I know it's really not too much of a difference, but it goes to show that it looks like on the dam side it's a little bit of more sprinty. You can see obviously she hasn't had a router that has been able to win, and that's the dam that I'm talking about. And obviously the race last time. I'm just a little worried that she might be like 3-5.
She could,
but I think that the Cox horse will probably take money, but just the fact that we don't have a lot of ability to see workouts and see some stuff in the mornings, I think might have the public gravitate more towards the horses that they've seen, obviously. Mm-hmm. So like if I had some information to give on the 1 or 2, I think like the inside 4 or 5 runners have not made a start and are first time starters. So just a little word about the price. The price horse that I would go with is the 11. And obviously you think similarly. Maybe I'm not getting all that creative here. paid $80,000 for her. It seems like in terms of the breeding, it's a little more anchored toward the dirt. Just debuted her at a time where Kentucky Downs was running. Hey, you take a chance at that big purse, see if you can, get a piece of it. And I thought she ran okay on that race. Like I said, she's not really meant for turf. The works on the dirt are pretty encouraging. You go back to November 18th, 47-4, bullet best of 14. And then another one at Oaklawn I thought was pretty good, even though obviously we can't see it. She was 7th out of 151. So I wanted to give her a look. Jackson, I know you've got her in second. I'd like her to be about 7 or 8 to 1. I think that would tell me that she's pretty live.
Not 6 or 7, just 7, 8 to 1.
Actually, I think I might like that more.
Okay. No, yeah, I thought the debut was encouraging. She made a little bit of a move and then kind of just flattened out. It was kind of an even effort, inconclusive, I would say. I agree with you. I think she is going to be better in the dirt based on the pedigree and based on the way she's working. It looks like they're pretty quick workouts. So I would expect her to take a step forward in the spot. Needs some pace in front of her, but that's not impossible with these 2-year-old races. A lot of times we'll see very fast paces, especially with the large fields. So I'd expect her to be coming from off the pace, and hopefully she'll be a decent price.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that this filly was going out for Mr. Triple Brightside himself, Marshall Graham, and 10 Strike Racing. So good luck to them.
I think Ryan's having dinner with Marshall right now, actually, so I'm going to text him.
Is he? Oh, yeah. Perfect. The 9 I maybe gave a little look to. She might be the 4th or 5th that I would use. I wasn't super thrilled with the quality of the field that she was coming out of at Keeneland. I know she couldn't be the speed of the speed, but I'd be a little more inclined to play against her. We talked about the 7 and then a bunch of first-time starters. There was some info I saw on the 3. I don't know if you saw that, Jackson. She is a Yaupon filly, paid $105,000 for her. I saw some of the works at Churchill. They didn't really blow me away. I think the board would kind of be your guide on that one. And then I also kind of think the board would be your guide with the 1 and the 2. I just kind of defaulted to the 1, and it honestly kind of seems like you did the same.
Yeah, well, Chris texted me the link to all the Oaklawn workouts. So last year, all the Oaklawn workouts were on the Kentucky website. This year, they're on Oaklawn website, even though it's still all Bruno with the works, whatever. So there was works on the 1 horse. I didn't find anything on the 2 or 3. But the 1 worked in company out of the gate with a couple other unraced horses, and she looked really good. I will be honest. She looked like she can run a little bit. The rail is very, very tough, though. And as I mentioned, I think this 7 is a runner as well, and she has a better post. She has more experience, and you kind of know what you're going to get with the 7. So if you're getting the 7 at 5-2 and the 1 at 3-1, I don't think it's much of a choice there.
Yeah, I would agree, definitely. That's a good thing to know, and maybe you can send me that link, actually.
Yeah.
Maybe I might be able to put it in the chat if you're able to put that in the private chat so that people can use that to their advantage. And then I guess the other one's the 2. I know the 2 is a half to disarm. So maybe she might want a little bit longer down the road. And Asmussen, actually, I looked it up. I think he's 0 for his last 18 with 2-year-old first-time starters at Oaklawn. So not a great stat for him. I would probably be a little more inclined to take her next out. So that was my kind of thinking with some of those first-time starters in race 7. So we'll go ahead and move on to race 8. It is the middle leg of the late pick 5, and it is, I guess, the feature on the card. Technically, it's the Advent Stakes, 5.5 furlongs for the 2-year-old boys, $150,000 purse, and the morning line favorite is the 6 Spun DMC for Saez and Randy Morris at 5-2. Second choice is the 4 Boca Beach Club for Ricardo Santana Jr. and Jimmy DeVito at 3-1. And then the third choice is the 5 Ganas for Morales and McKeever. Let's see who we are going with in the Advent. I'm going 4-6-2. Jackson's going 4-5-7. So you've actually got the same top pick. I was kind of flipping back and forth between the 4 and the 6. I ended up going with the 4, and so did you.
Yeah, I thought you said we're all different after that race, but I guess you lied to me again. That's okay.
We're always just so lockstep that any kind of little difference, it's pretty notable.
Yeah, I don't know what you felt about the 6 horse. I feel like it's a horse I'm trying to beat all day long. Coming out of Keeneland, where he kind of inherited the lead and no one else really ran. He kind of just got second by default. That debut race, I know the number came back really strong, but the runbacks have been really iffy. So I didn't want the 6 in here. And go the rest of the field. It seemed like the 4 was the next most logical horse. And I know he debuted at Hawthorne, but boy, I thought he looked good on film. He ran away from that field, and the number looks pretty legit. He ran down a Ravelli horse that was big favorite in there, showed a ton of speed, and he ran away from that horse late too. won by almost 6 lengths. The number came back strong. I mean, I think there's a lot of speed in front of him in this spot. He's getting more groundwork with. I think this horse can run. And if you get any kind of price on him, I think it's worth taking a shot in here, because this is one of those horses where if he wins on Friday, like, you're never going to get this kind of price again if he's as good as I think he could be.
And we really need to hit up our boy Gino McCullough or somebody at DRF to fix this full screen thing. Because, I mean, I can't be the only one that is extremely frustrated about this. But anyway, that's not what we're talking about. This horse right here is the 7 He Gone for Ravelli, who was honestly a pretty big favorite that day. But you can see Boca Beach Club put him away pretty handily. Still a little green in the stretch. I mean, he's lugging in a little bit, pretty much wrapped up, and gallops out well. So I think there's more there. And the fact that a small barn like Jimmy DeVito is going to take him to a race like this second time out, I think probably speaks pretty highly of him. So I'm echoing the sentiments that you just talked about.
And he's looked good in the mornings at Oaklawn since there was a workout of him on the website. He looks pretty good.
Speaking of workouts, thank you very much, Howard. Through that link down there. So if you guys are looking to use those workouts for 2-year-old races or anything of that nature, please go ahead and use that. Back to the 6, I get it. I didn't see a lot of horses outside the 4 that I could really see passing each other, and I just kind of thought he was maybe the fastest of the bunch. I just kind of see a scenario where if the 6 outclears him, size is pretty tough. Maybe the 4 gets him, maybe he doesn't. But I could see myself playing maybe a 4-6 or a 6-4. So that was kind of the opinion that I had of the race. I wasn't super strong. I do like the 4 like you do. I've got the 2 in third who can maybe pop the gate. It's a Peter Miller runner who, funny enough, actually won this race last year with
Kale's Angel.
Kale's Angel, thank you. And I looked that up too, and of course I forgot.
Love that horse that day.
But he was one. I mean, look at the race at Del Mar. I mean, that was pretty big when he got the lead and got things his own way. Then I tried turf going a mile. I don't really think that was for him. And then in the Speakeasy, Baccio is a horse that we've talked about, could be a very good 2-year-old for Wesley Ward, who had shipped out there, won the Speakeasy, and then I think was an AE in the juvenile turf sprint. Didn't get in. Then they ran, was it the day after or 2 days after, and just completely blitzed, ran like a 90 buyer. So I think, is it a she or a he? I can't remember. But anyway, that 2-year-old for Ward could be pretty good. And, he was just kind of caught chasing him. So I would maybe give him a look to maybe get a piece. And that's why I've got him in third. And then you've got the 5 and the 7. I didn't really know how I felt about the 5. I wasn't sure how those 2 fields that he beat were, but then again, he did beat him by 4 and 5 1/4. And then the 7, I gave a long look to as maybe another one that could pass. I wasn't super thrilled with the race, but again, it's an early 2-year-old in July. So there's just a lot of things up in the air, I think.
Yeah, my big opinion of this race is I really don't like the 6 horse here, and I really don't like the 2. And I think those horses are going to be 2 of the 3 favorites in here. So after the 4, like, it could be anyone. Mm-hmm. So I think the 7 is interesting. One of those horses that ran at Ellis very early in the summer. And for a July 4th 2-year-old, that number is actually okay. It's not bad. Yeah. I don't know where he's been since, but he drew well here. The fact that he's in this race, I think, is probably encouraging. And he's actually working pretty well too. I was able to see some film of him recently. He looks like he's going the right way. So if he's the price, I could see myself using him more as a backup.
Yeah, definitely. We'll go ahead and move on to race 8, and I will get that up on the screen shortly. Race 8 is a pretty good allowance race, I thought. I thought you could go a number of different ways, and I think this is where we actually are quite different. And let's see. We pretty much are. I'm going 5-1-13. Jackson's going 11-5-7. And Jackson going with the 11 La Hooligan, a 15-1 shot for Vasquez and Compton. Just to his inside is the morning line favorite at 3-1 Uncle Caesar, a new acquisition for Cox and Saez. But Jackson, sell us on this price here in the penultimate leg.
Yeah, I don't know what you thought, Noah, but I thought this was pretty easy the most wide open race of the 5 that we're going to talk about. And it's another where I'm just not really sold on these favorites in here. And I guess we'll start with the 10 horse for Brad Cox, first off the claim. He's running numbers at Parks and Penn National that make him a fit in here, but they don't make him an overwhelming favorite. And he's going to probably be a very short price. So he's one I'd be trying to beat in here. First Division's another one that's going to take money for McPeak. He's very inconsistent. He's run just okay. Like, he's another one that he's not a standout and he's going to take money. And same could be said for the 8 Crisis Manager, who was coming off of a big performance at Churchill in the mud. But that was a race where there was speed signed on and then nobody went. He kind of just inherited the lead by himself. And I don't think he's nearly as good as that number might indicate. So this is a race where I wanted to be against the favorites in here. I think there's a lot of pace signed on, and I was looking for a horse from out of it. And I think the 11 fits that bill in a spot. That's La Hooligan for Greg Compton. He ran really well last time, I thought, at Remington Park. He went up against Heavenville, who was favored that day, got a really easy lead. And this horse still closed nicely to finish second in there, despite not really having things his own way in that race. When you look at his form overall, you can kind of toss the races without Lasix. He's clearly a better horse with it. He lost 3 back to Alert Away, who got really good this summer. Then and the maiden breaker at Churchill Downs, he closed at a really slow pace to get up for the win that day. Just seems like a horse that's going the right direction. It's going to be a big number in here, and it's supposed to get a pace set up. So give me him at 15-1 on top, and I think this is a really good race to try to take on the favorites.
I like it, and I like this race from a value perspective just because it seems like those favorites like to be able to have forward position, and it seems like they're not the only one. So I think things could really heat up, fall apart, and maybe set up for some of these closers, and that was kind of the style that I was looking for. I think the horses that I've got and all the horses that you got are horses that really like to do their best running later on. So I do like the pick, and obviously you're going to get a good price second off the bench at 15-1. I went to the 5, who I would probably be a little surprised if he wasn't lower than 8-1 come post time, and you've got him in second. Boy, he made a huge move on debut. I know it was a screaming hot pace, but made a big move into that hot pace. Just kind of got tired a little bit, lost a money game, who came back and won, and then kind of made a bit of a similar move, maybe not as extravagant, but made kind of that, same move to get to the lead early. Went on with it that time. The worry is, where has he been, right? But they paid $575,000 for him. Obviously, they've got some high hopes. Torres rides back, which I think is probably a good thing. And this is a tough race to throw him in. So I went with him. He's another one, maybe if he wasn't taking a ton of money, I'd be inclined to maybe take some of the other closers. But I was impressed enough with his 2 races early on as a pretty early 3-year-old that, I'd give him another shot off the layoff.
Yeah, as you said, on debut, he kind of just ran inefficiently, moved too early, but ran well. And then he came back and won and beat Tap Into This, who came back and won like 4 races in a row. That's a really good horse that he beat in the maiden breaker. So I agree. We have to see where he's going to be after 8 months, but I don't know how much money he's going to take in here, because I think these other horses are going out for bigger barns and they don't have the layoffs. I think those horses are going to be a little bit shorter than him. So you might still get 6-1 or so.
Well, speaking of smaller barns, this is the horse that I've gotten second, who I think is probably going to come from off it as well. I do like the fact that he's going to save every inch of ground. We talked about My Noble Knight and some of the horses in those running lines. Really, I didn't think was that far off of him in that race here at Oaklawn 3 back in May, and then popped a big number at Louisiana Downs, and then he came back and actually did it on turf. So he was another one where some people might be inclined to maybe see it again, but I think with the open nature of the race, you might get close to that 5-1. So that's why I've got him in second, and then I've actually got the 13 in third, who I believe it might actually be an AE. So I think I went against my morals once again. Yeah, it is. Dancing Mo. I'm actually not sure who Arietta is first preference for. I know he's on the 1 and he's on the 13, but another one I thought just could maybe get a setup in deep waters last time. That was that I believe that was Claiming Crown Day, right?
Yep.
Double Your Money snuck up the rail. That was a cluster in the lane, and he was 75-1 in that race, but I thought it ran okay. Had that win 2 back, I thought was pretty decent, so I wanted to give him a look. I've got him in third, and then you've got the 7, I think, is another one off the top of my head. Oh no, this is a front runner. Is this the one to maybe take him the whole way if they let him get cute?
Potentially. I just view him more as a horse that is every bit as good as the 10. He's every bit as good as the 2. He's every bit as good as the other favorite. I can't remember what number he is. And he's not going to be a bet like it. He's going to be forwardly placed. That race 3 back, especially at Indy, was on a big biased racetrack. He was against it the whole time, and he ran really well against some good horses. So if he can get forward, get comfortable up there, again, Evan Roman right there. There he is. Going to have a big meet. I think 10-1 on this horse is a very fair price.
Yeah, hopefully we hear Matt say Roman with a riding triple as he crosses the wire or something like that. I know Jackson would be pretty happy with a result like that. We'll move on to the last race on opening day Friday at Oaklawn Park, and it concludes with another maiden special weight race. Again, 2-year-old fillies, 6 furlongs on the main track, but this time it's for the Archiebreds. We love our Archiebreds. Of course, they get to run for that patented $100,000 purse, and the morning line favorite goes to the number 5 Brunia for Cedillo and Lindsay Schultz at 5-2. Second choice is the 7 Secret Slew for Quinones and Donnie Von Hemel at 3-1. And then the third choice is the 2 Rockin' the Lane for Tyler Bacon and Chris Hartman. Let's see who we're going with in the finale. I'm going 2-7-3. Jackson's going 3-7-5. And Jackson, you're going with another 10-1 shot, hoping we've got some prices to end the day.
Yeah, look, these Archibred races they're very tough. And I remember watching a lot of them last year, especially the main ones. And it just seemed like they always featured really fast paces. And either someone the favorite would keep going, or they just completely collapse. And especially with these 2-year-olds in these big fields, I think that's even more likely to happen, especially given some of the horses that have run so far. A lot of them are a little speeding here. So I was looking for a horse from off the pace. Appealing Bishop kind of fits that bill. She took some money at Churchill Downs against the better field, completely blew the brake. I mean, she lost 5 or 6 legs as soon as the gates opened and kind of just ran evenly after that, tried to close into a really slow pace. I thought just an inconclusive debut, but went out for Morris, who usually targets this Oaklawn meet. And I think it's really encouraging that Sias bothers to ride for these connections. So at 10-1, I think that's a very fair price in a race that seems just very wide open.
Was there anybody that you saw some workouts in here? Because I went into this race blindly. I didn't, have that.
There was only a couple, and nothing that stood out by any means.
Yeah, I've got the 3 and 3rd, and then I've got the 2 on top.
Mm-hmm.
Who I actually like quite a bit. They were both in that same race, and I don't know if you've kind of seen the same thing, Jackson. When I've been looking at some of the races at Turfway, I feel like the horses that have run on the slop at Churchill have come back to do really well. I know there was a horse, I can't remember if it was Thursday or Friday of last week, that we liked in the first race that had kind of thrown in a clunker on the slop and then came back and won.
Yeah.
I've seen that on a couple of occasions as well. So I think that's something to look out for, not only at Turfway, but maybe some of these other racetracks as Gulfstream starts to begin their meet. Obviously, Oaklawn start on Friday. So I would key into that. And I thought Rockin' the Lane ran well. Just kind of didn't handle it within the first 4.5 furlongs, but I thought finished okay. Down on the inside, which is typically not a place that you'd love to be down on the rail at Churchill Downs, especially when they get some moisture out in Louisville. So I wanted to give her a big look. And then I thought the 3 made sense just because, like you said, she didn't break all that well. She didn't do really a ton of running off of that after that slow break, but obviously encouraging that Sias goes. So I do think you should give big looks to both the 2 and the 3 in there. The 7 was kind of the other logical. I thought you could make a case for. I did watch her race at Remington Jackson. I thought it was, just fine.
Yeah, she was always kind of in a weird spot on the rail. Like, she tried to go to the front and it just kind of slowly shut off on her. So she took back, lost a little ground. And then even in the stretch, she tried to come off the rail again. It just seemed like she was a little intimidated by the winner, basically the whole race. So I think getting towards the outside post, a little, the middle, more towards the outside than she was last time, will be good for her. She has a race under her belt. The number came back strong. Very logical in this spot.
Oh, absolutely. And then you've got the 5 Brunia. To finish this off, 2-time runner, didn't do much first out, but I thought a pretty good second last out. Granted, that was at 24-1. I just didn't know if I wanted to take, 5-2 after she was such a big price last time. But, if you're playing a pick 5, I think she's got to be on some tickets.
Yeah, she seems like the horse to beat. Obviously, the number is the best in this field. I will say she had things completely her own way that day, and it wasn't like they went super fast. I would expect her to have more company on the front end on Friday, and at a short price, I think others are more interesting.
Yeah, and Matt Dinnerman says, watch out for Tallahassee second out. Had a big excuse first time out. Obviously, he was in much tougher company, and the winner of that race came back and won. I believe, for Bob Hess, who for a point in time couldn't win it all at California, but it seemed like everywhere else in the country, he was firing on all cylinders, which, doesn't make a ton of sense. But Speed and Fade in a much better race, giving her a little time. And your boy Roman. I mean, you'd love to see that.
I would. Going back to that 10-strike horse, Ryan got back to me. He said, he said Marshall said the horse is doing really well. I think she's very live for the race.
I like it. Well, that's good to know as we're what race is that? Is that race? That
was race 7. That was the turf filly on the dirt.
6 or 7? I wasn't actually sure.
Race 7, number 11, 7-11.
7-11? All right. Well, that's pretty easy to remember. Yep. And I actually thought about making her my best bet, but I actually didn't do that. But we'll go ahead and talk about best bets anyways. You are going with an 11. You're going with La Hooligan in race 9, hoping for that nice, juicy 15-1.
Yeah, speaking of 11, like I said, I think that race is going to be really good. It's the most competitive of the 5 we talked about. And it's just one of those, I don't like the favorites in there. And I think there's going to be a lot of pace. And I think that horse is going to be able to take advantage of it. He ran really well last time at Remington, closing into a race where the front runner just had things his own way as a big favorite. I think today's going to be much different. It's going to have a lot of pace in front of him. I'm hoping it falls apart late and he can continue to take a step forward. And if he does, he can be right there at the wire. I think it's 15-1, so he'll be a big number.
Yep, I like it. Good luck to you on Friday. I'm going with a win bet in race 10 on the number 2, Rockin' the Lane. It was coming out of that race in the slop at Churchill. I know Jackson likes the 3, who I like as well, but I thought the 2 ran pretty good first out. Encouraging debut. Think that she's going to take a big step forward with Tyler Bacon aboard and hoping we get close to that 7-2. So I'm going with the number 2, Rockin' the Lane in race 10. Jackson, I think that about does it for us. We will see you tomorrow night, right? Leaderboard?
Yeah, tomorrow night. Get to talk about how I messed up the tournament on Saturday. Not messed up, but lost. So that'll be fun.
Seems like that's a reoccurring theme, no?
Thanks.
For Jackson, this has been Noah, episode 57 of Pacific Horseplayers, covering opening day and the late pick 5 at Oaklawn Park. And until next time, PHP out.